Hello, guys, and welcome back. You're watching the Camera 64 podcast, and I am your host, Alfonso Chavez. And as always, we're coming to you from sunny San Antonio, Texas, from here in the garage, guys. So, welcome back. I am so happy to see you, and I hope you are enjoying my new background. I went ahead and went on to Amazon, and I just took a quick look around to see if there was anything that I could see that was interesting, and I found this really cool inexpensive backdrop. I think it was a total of like $10 or $12 for this background setup. So I just set up my backgrounds and hung it down. The only disappointment that I had for it was the fact that it does not have a rod fold over sleeve seam that you can just slide the rod through. So I had to pull out the clamps, and I'm a photographer. I got clamps, and I was able to clamp it up there. So these are the clamps I have, these little orange ones, and you could pick these up at Harbor Freight. I think they come in a pack of like 10 or something. They're 10 for like $30 or something like that. So I obviously I have a pack of those, and I went ahead and had to pull them up and clamp it in there. So if the background looks a little bit crooked, it might be that my clamp job was not very good. But again, welcome back. If you're liking these videos and you're finding what I'm talking about to be interesting, give us a thumbs up, and if not, give us a thumbs down. But again, if you give me a thumbs down, I need to know why you're giving me a thumbs down, because I want to try and improve what it is that I'm doing here and sharing the information that you really want to hear about. I don't want to talk about crap that you don't want to hear about, right? Excuse my French. Excuse my French there. I don't normally cuss, but yeah, I don't want to talk about stuff that you're not interested in listening to. And today we're going to talk about perfection in photography, right? What does it mean to be perfect? Or is perfection actually anything that you can genuinely achieve? And I have some thoughts about that. And then I'm going to transition into talking about the Stella Pro, which I've had now for 6 months, but unfortunately it broke and I had to send it in, and we'll go more into that. But I did finally get to shoot it now that it's back this past weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about that too. So the first issue at hand, perfection, right? Perfection in photography, is that even possible? And the reason I'm even bringing this up is because obviously, as many of you know, I like being on Facebook, and I comment all the time, and I'm always trying to give solid advice or good advice to new photographers. And some of that good advice has to do with your ability to produce sellable portraits and sellable family pictures, because obviously that's what most people are into photography for, is they're trying to make some kind of income. And I'm not talking about trying to make a ton of income, but to make a solid, decent income, right? That's the biggest reason that a lot of people get into photography. That's the biggest reason I got into it myself, right? And the question was, so I went ahead and I created a post, and I had set up some pictures from a recent session that I did here in town at one of the local museums, and I was using that same Stella Pro that we're going to talk about a little bit later on. So obviously, if you're shooting LED, there's going to be some trade-offs. And so I went ahead and posted the pictures, and I simply put on there, you don't need a new camera. Here's proof, basically, is what I was saying. Here's proof that you don't need a new camera, because I was shooting my 1D Mark III, which is only a 10 megapixel camera, and I like shooting that camera. And basically I said, I'm sure your clients would enjoy receiving these pictures from a session. And my gosh, I got eaten alive. I was like fresh bait out there, and just kind of floating in the ocean of Facebook, right? And people were just attacking me all over the place. I just thought it was I laugh at those kinds of things. I know some people have a really hard time with it, and oh my gosh, they're eating me alive, and it doesn't bother me one bit. I actually kind of laughed. I shared some of the comments with my wife, and we had a good laugh about it. So I brought my wife into the conversation, and I asked her the same thing that we're talking about right now. Is perfection even possible, right? Is it possible in photography? And I even had to think about it a little bit, right? Is it even possible, right? The best camera, the best lighting, the best model, the best And so after some serious thinking about the situation, I came to the conclusion there's no way to actually achieve perfection in photography. It's just impossible, right? Because I have my opinion about what my picture would look like, what the color should look like, the saturation, the contrast, and so on and so forth. It's a never-ending conversation, right, about one single picture. But the moment that I take that off of my computer and I make it available online on Facebook, then you have the view of thousands of people. Now, I have this conversation with my son from time to time, and I always tell him we cannot please everybody, right? There's always going to be somebody that you could please 100 people, and there's always going to be that one or two that's not going to like what you're doing. And so that's the conclusion that I came to. So in that case, there's no way I can be perfect, because it might be perfect for me, it might be perfect for the client, but the client might show it to their aunt or the aunt's daughter, and they might say, "Oh my gosh, look at this picture, it's horrible." Right? The posing's off, the color's off. Look at her dress. Oh, look, mija, she's got a little fold right here in her dress, and it really just throws everything off. Oh, she's got a little hair that's coming down right here in the front, and that's it. It's over. It never ends, guys. You are going down a path that has no end, right? It's just a dead end. I'm sorry, it's not a dead end. It's just a road that just winds on forever and ever, and it goes over the mountains and through the woods and off to grandma's house we go. You get the idea, right? Perfection is impossible to achieve, and that's my opinion on that. My wife tended to agree with me. I even asked my son about it, and he also had to stop and think about it, but he came up with the same solution. So my question is, why, guys? Why in the world do we have these elitist photography? And that's the farthest thing from me. I'm no elitist, right? I still shoot. I'll take my T2i to a wedding, or if I've done this actually has happened to me. Is I've dropped my camera, didn't have another camera with me, and a guest hands me their camera because they had a Canon, and I just took over and now this didn't happen to me recently. This was something that happened when I was a newer photographer, but that was the solution, right? I had to shoot with whatever I had, but luckily for me, I was far enough along in the journey that the camera no longer mattered, guys, is what I'm trying to say. And perfection is, sure, some of those pictures were grainy, they're not going to be perfect. So why do we strive, not only as a photographer looking at our own work, why should I strive to perfection? Because it's never going to be perfection. So why am I going to jump on somebody else's back and harp on them? Oh my gosh, you messed up this, you messed up that, and this is wrong, and that's wrong, and this is wrong, and that's wrong. Why would you do that? Because for their client, that picture might have been perfect. That might have been the picture they've been waiting for years, right? And they finally got it with that photographer. You get what I'm saying? So perfection, guys, it's impossible. I don't think it's even possible. And sometimes I get brides that are, they want I want this picture, I want that picture. They'll even tell you the style. I want you to shoot it from overhead. I want you to go down there and shoot up at me. They will tell you that's not a client for me. When they start doing that, that's a red flag for me. I will not shoot that. It's not because I'm not because I'm not a good guy or not because I couldn't please them, but the idea is that if they don't like what I'm doing, and another thing is how do you know if what you're doing is not right for them? One of the first questions I get when I receive a phone call for a new client is somebody that's never seen my work before, and that's one of the questions that I ask. How did you hear about us? Who referred you? Okay, because I want to qualify them, and the way that I can qualify my clients to make sure that they're a good fit for my photography is I want to send them to the website, because once they get to the website, they're going to see a consistency. All the pictures look the same. The color correction is all the same. the toning, the contrast, all that stuff. The highlights, the highlights, the exposure. Everything is going to be very consistent because my editing style doesn't change and I don't waver from it, right? So if somebody calls me and says, "Hey, Al, I want to brighten airy. I know you don't do bright and airy, but I really want to brighten airy," and I'll turn them down. I have turned them down, and my daughter-in-law, since she's new to this, she wonders why I might do something like that. But it's because when you try and get out of your element, and I'm not saying don't get out of your element. What I'm saying is you don't want to do that out in the public eye. Like on my website, I'm not gonna have bright and airy, and then have a regular shot, and then have dark and mystic, and then have whatever other style that you want to create for yourself. If you put that all on your website, it's confusing. The client comes to your website and they don't know what they're gonna get. What am I gonna get from him? What am I gonna get from Alfonso? But if you go on my website, it's all the same. The pictures all look the same. And some people, other photographers have even told me or commented to me, "Al, you do everything the same." And they're like, "I don't know about that, man. I don't know. You're really limiting yourself." No, I'm not limiting myself, but I just want to make sure that, I'm going to get a good client first and foremost, and two, they're going to be happy with what they're getting, because a happy client's always going to come back versus an unhappy client. You're never going to hear from them. Not only are you not going to hear from them, but they're going to talk bad about you. They're going to say, "Oh man, that camera 64, oh shit. I asked him to do bright and airy. He gave me a whole bunch of crap. It's over bright and airy, or it's not bright and airy enough." You see what I mean? You put yourself in a corner that you just cannot get out of at all. So basically what I'm trying to say is, make your style. Make sure that the client understands your style. Make sure that what they want is what you're delivering, and you're going to be okay in this business all the way. They'll keep coming back, I promise. So now we're going to talk about the Stella Pro. So I had my Stella Pro, and after it's like third use of owning it, the little control dial on the back that allows you to turn the LED on and switch back to the actual flash part of it, and that's what's great about the Stella Pro. With that control dial broken, I guess it comes out of the little snap ring, and that snap ring came out and it made it inoperable. So I had to send it in to Stella, and my gosh, it was horrible. It was week after week after week after week after week. I think it was on week 7. Halfway through week 7 is when I received my email to let me know that my light was coming back to me, and then the week later I received it. So they kept the light for 2 months, guys. 2 months. That's a problem for me. If that was my main setup and I didn't have anything else, if I was somebody that was new and I just spent $850 on a light to use at my events, and it breaks and I send it in and it takes some 2 months for me to get it back, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. I would have been really upset if that was the only light that I had. Fortunately for me, I've got 5 or 6 flashes that I roll with, and I got 360s that I roll with too. So I was taken care of. But if I was new and that's all I had, I would have been in trouble. I would have either had to rent or, pony up for another $850, which you're not going to want to do after your flash failed on you, and then they failed to get it back to you quickly. But put that aside. Let's put that aside for right now, because after I got it back, I went ahead and did a session. I had a quinceañera. Obviously, that's what I shoot. But it's kind of great. You can actually shoot it during the day. Now, are there some trade-offs? Absolutely. Shooting it at ISO 100 is probably a no-go, unless you're gonna have the LED like really in their face, which I really don't. I like to keep it back. So that's one advantage that obviously a strobe light is going to give you, is that you can keep that strobe back 10 feet or 15 feet and it's still going to be effective during the day. But an LED light, even at 18,000 lums, it's just not enough. Okay, even with the focus beam on, what's the proper word for that? Not the Fresnel, but the one that the one that beams the light. But anyway, with that cover on it, it focuses the light, and even with that, it works out okay. It looks great. But now I can't shoot at ISO 100, so I have to bump it up to 400. So what happens when you bump up to 400 during the day is you're gonna lose some highlights in the skies. You're gonna lose some highlights on areas that have any kind of light color, like light pinks or whites, or anything that's in the really bright spectrum. Shooting at 400 during the day can give you some issues, but in order for me to use the LED, I have to bring the ISO up to accommodate the difference versus using a flash. And so when I posted those pictures, that's where I got to the conversation that we just had earlier about perfection, right? Now, obviously, using the Stella Pro, I'm still kind of figuring it out. I'm still trying to figure out what are the trade-offs that I want to give up in order to use it, but it's absolutely usable during the day. I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're new, because LED, when it's on, you get to see exactly what it looks like. There's no guessing. It's not like flash, where the flash, boom, it goes off and you got to think, did I get it? Let me look. No, when I'm looking through the camera with the LED, I can aim that LED exactly where I want it. I can see exactly what it's going to look like before I even take the picture. So that's a great deal. Like, you don't have to learn LED, right? Because you can see exactly what you're going to get. That's the huge difference, or the huge advantage using an LED versus flash. And trust me, I think that they're going to continue to push forward in this LED technology, and I think that eventually, at some point or another, I think they might get to the point where they'll have bright enough LEDs that you can use during the day. Now, if you've ever been to a Hollywood set, when they're shooting video, they've got these huge, I mean, they are huge lights, okay? Now, I don't know if there's LEDs in there or not. I don't know all the technical details, but I have seen those lights. They're about this deep, about that deep, and about that big around, okay? They're huge. And they spot those lights during the day. And so if that was the case, that's essentially what we would be doing. But the form factor keeps getting smaller and smaller for these LEDs, and that's a good thing, right? That's a great thing. That's why I've been buying. I've got an LED back there. I got an LED right here, and this light that's hitting me right here is an LED. Some of them are plug-in, some of them are battery powered, obviously. But if we can get to the point where the Stella Pro can put out, I think if we could get 2 more stops out of the Stella Pro, I think that absolutely I would go all in 100% on the Stella Pro, because I like the form factor, first of all. 2, I like the fact that I get exactly what I see. And 3, if you're a new photographer, there's nothing to learn. You just point it, right? If you don't see the light on their face, or you don't see it getting enough light, you make your adjustments, and then you take the picture. There's nothing to learn as far as LED versus flash. So those are all pluses. At this point, I think I could still recommend it, but again, just keep in mind there's trade-offs. It's that simple. There's trade-offs in this situation. But other than that, I think it's a great product. And obviously, Stella Pro's got to work on their customer service too, because I sent them numerous emails and they did not respond. I actually had to go to their website, look up the number, and call them directly. They're in California. So I don't know why they weren't answering emails, but I kept requesting updates and I never got any updates. It wasn't until I actually got them on the phone, and then the lady said, oh yeah, we do have your flash, and it is scheduled to go out. So I don't even know if maybe they forgot that they even had it. I don't know, but I'm glad that I called. She checked it, and she says, yeah, it's ready to be shipped back to you. It has been repaired. We're gonna ship it out. And they did. They shipped it out like 2 days later. But gosh, they should update. They didn't update me to let me know that they received it. They didn't update me to let me know that it was actually had physically started the repairs. They didn't send me an update to let me know the repairs were done and that it was going to be shipped, a day or 2 afterwards. I didn't receive any updates, and that's a no Stella Pro, which is actually Light in Motion. So Light in Motion, if you're watching my video, you need to work on that. But that's been my show, guys. I hope you like this backdrop. I think it looks pretty cool from what I can see on the screen, but I won't know until I get it on my computer. But if you're liking my videos, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. Please give me a reason why. And if there's anything that's photography related that you have an opinion on, or if there's a question that you want to ask or have me answer a question for you, whether it's the business side, photography itself, or maybe products that you're thinking about buying, give me a message. I probably have tried it. All kinds of softwares and all kinds of products I've tried over the years. I've tried it all. So I have an opinion about a lot of different stuff. If you want to hear that opinion, please just go down below, give me a comment, like my videos, or thumbs down my videos. But that's been my video for today. My name is Alfonso Chavez, and as always, we're coming to you from the garage here in San Antonio, Texas. Till next time, guys, you take care and have a good one. Bye-bye.